Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're doing something a little different.
Mhm.
Instead of wading through purely academic sources, we're exploring a novel. It's called Abulafia by Georges Lahy.
Right. And our kind of mission today is to figure out why this particular book seems to be such a great starting point.
Exactly. A gateway maybe into Kabbalah for those of you listening who are curious but, haven't quite known where to jump in.
And what's really interesting here is the author, Georges Lahy himself.
Yeah.
He isn't just like a novelist making things up.
No, he's got credentials.
He really does.
Yeah.
He's a well-regarded specialist in medieval Kabbalah.
Mm.
And crucially, he's the French translator of Abraham Abulafia's actual works.
Okay. So the ideas, the teachings in the novel, they're grounded.
Deeply grounded. They come directly from those historical sources. It's not just fiction.
Which I think is the beauty of using a novel here. It gives you an openness, right? A way in through a story.
Definitely. You get real people, historical figures living in a specific time and place.
Which is 13th century Tudela in Navarre.
It makes it much more maybe engaging than diving straight into a heavy academic study, especially for newcomers.
We get to follow Abraham Abulafia's early life through this narrative lens.
And Tudela itself is almost a character here. You mentioned Navarre. It's this town, right, split by the Murdancho River.
Which, wasn't just a river, was it?
No, not exactly picturesque. It doubled as the main sewer, apparently.
Lovely. And it separated the two Jewish quarters?
Yeah, north and south, linked by this apparently quite dodgy bridge. And interestingly, the newer northern part, the new Juderia, it had a bit more independence maybe. Less under the thumb of the main rabbinical council in the south.
Okay, so that's the setting. A bit gritty, maybe?
A bit gritty, yeah. And into this world steps young Abraham.
Son of Samuel Abulafia, who is a baker.
A baker, yes, but also a scholar, which is a fascinating mix.
There's that little story, isn't there? About the guard joking.
Oh, yes, something about bread being tastier than books. As Abraham and his friend Shlomo are heading home, it adds that touch of everyday life.
It really grounds it. But even in that ordinary life, you see these, hints of something else in Abraham.
Absolutely. His fascination, his deep interest in the wheels of letters he found in books.
Can you explain that a bit? Wheels of letters?
Well, in Kabbalah, the Hebrew alphabet isn't just for writing. It's seen as, like, the building blocks of creation.
Okay.
So combining these letters, meditating on them, it was an early practice, a way to try and understand the hidden structures of reality, maybe?
And for Abraham, the novel suggests this brought him real joy.
Yes, particularly it says, after his mother Miriam died a couple of years before, it became a way for him to sort of evoke her memory, connect with her.
That's quite moving, actually. And we get these sensory details, too, like the Vendaval wind.
The sense through the Kalahora gate, it paints a picture.
But then the mood shifts. He gets home, finds his sister Leah, and there's this letter.
Right, and this is where the history really bites. The letters from Lunel warning about King Louis IX of France.
The persecution of Jews ramping up, burning the Talmud.
Exactly. Now, Navarre was in France. It was under King Thibault II. But Thibault was also French nobility, a Capetian,
So there's a connection.
a worrying one. He'd already banned the Talmud in some areas he controlled. So this news from France, it definitely casts a shadow. You feel the danger isn't far away.
And this context makes their family's move to Tudela earlier seem pretty important.
Very much so. Samuel, Abraham's father, had been doing well in Zaragoza.
But things got tense.
Yeah, rising unrest, a new bishop appointed. Samuel saw Tudela as safer. It was known for being under the King of Navarre's protection, a haven for Jews and Moors.
So a strategic move for safety.
Seems like it. And there's even that almost mystical story about Abraham's birth, isn't there?
Oh, right. Samuel chanting over Miriam before the birth.
On the 9th of Av. Believing he was calling the angel Noriel, and then Abraham arrives. It adds this layer of, destiny, perhaps.
It certainly makes you wonder. Okay, so alongside this backdrop, Abraham's deep into his studies.
Totally absorbed. His brother Reuben apparently finds him just lost in these letter combinations from the Sefer Yetzirah.
The Book of Formation.
Yeah, forgetting supper, oblivious to everything else. It shows that intense focus early on.
And the Sefer Yetzirah itself, that's pretty significant text.
Oh, absolutely. It's very old, very foundational for Kabbalah. All about creation through divine letters and numbers. So Abraham's diving deep right from the start.
And Tudela itself fostered that kind of thing, the university.
Yes, the University of Tudela, outside the royal castle, apparently. And it was Quite remarkable for the time.
How so?
Christians, Muslims, Jews, all studying together. This tradition continued even after the Christian reconquest.
Wow, so a real mixing pot of ideas.
Yeah, even though the demographics were shifting a bit, fewer Muslims, more Jewish families by then, but that intellectual openness was there. Abraham was breathing it in.
And he got into Aristotle, which led him to Maimonides.
Exactly, the Rambam. And a key point is, Abraham could read Maimonides in the original Judeo-Arabic.
Which means he wasn't getting it filtered through translations. Direct access.
Direct access to one of the towering intellects of the age. That's huge for his development.
But he wasn't just a scholar, right? There's that interaction with Rachel.
Yeah, near the ramparts, that dangerous bridge again. A bit of teasing, maybe.
Yeah.
It just reminds you he's still a young man living his life, not just buried in books constantly.
Right, it keeps him human. But then, things take a turn. Nathan the prophet arrives.
This is a huge moment in the book. Nathan sort of appears and takes Abraham under his wing.
Yeah.
Becomes his mentor.
And it seems like others already sensed something different about Abraham. His mother, his brother Jacob.
Yeah, his mother saw something inexplicable in him. And Jacob apparently thought he wasn't cut out for baking or for being too rigid like a lawmaker, hints that his path was elsewhere.
So Nathan starts introducing him to Kabbalistic ideas directly.
But through conversation, through experience, not just theory. Concepts like shadow light.
Which obscures the true light.
Right. And vowels being the antidote to the lead of black ink. Lovely metaphor, animating the words.
Bring them to life, okay. And then there's the journey to the mikveh.
The ritual bath. But not a normal one. Nathan takes him out, way out, to this crystal clear lake in the middle of nowhere.
Describing it as the cloud sent to Moses.
Yeah. It signals this is something different, something more profound, maybe more personal than the standard rituals.
And the ritual itself is intense. Nathan holds him under.
Unexpectedly, yeah. Followed by this slightly strange laughter and the comment about surviving the womb. It feels very much like an initiation, a trial.
A challenging one. And then they go to the column of the Shekinah.
Which the locals just called Castillo Titiero, like an earth mound. But Nathan gives it this profound meaning. A frozen cloud of divine presence.
The Shekinah being the immanent aspect of God in the world, right?
Generally, yes. And the idea is that awakening this column could somehow free this divine presence. It's powerful imagery.
And Abraham has a strong reaction there, physically.
Very strong. Warmth, vibrations, feeling like he's falling. It's overwhelming until Nathan steps in.
And gives him the name Zechariahu.
Meaning, he will evoke me. With a clear mission. Learn to evoke God's name, Yahoo. This is a massive turning point. His path is set.
And after this, Nathan tells him he's returned to his world. What does that imply?
It suggests a shift in consciousness, I think. Like he's seeing things differently now, operating on another level maybe. But he's back in his familiar surroundings.
But with this inner change comes a difficulty.
Yes. The realization that these experiences, they're not things you can just chat about with anyone. They're secret. Really only shareable with Nathan.
That must be isolating.
Probably. And it drives him back to Nathan for deeper understanding, especially about the Sephiroth.
The divine emanations. He wasn't satisfied with just intellectual explanation.
No, he felt they missed something. The immateriality of them, the danger of thinking about God in, like, human terms, anthropomorphism. He felt the Sefer Yetzirah held a deeper key.
So he asks Nathan about the Sefer Belima.
Which literally means Sephiro without what? It points to their nature as being beyond limitation.
How does Nathan explain them?
As existing in the realm of the marvelous beyond limits, elemental reflections of infinite light. And crucially, showing how everything is interconnected. It's more intuitive, less purely intellectual.
So his understanding is deepening, becoming more experiential. But this path has consequences for his family life.
He does. His sister Leah is clearly sad about his plan to go on this expedition. They've already lost family members.
You feel that tension, the pull between his calling and his home.
But she still supports him, prepares things for his journey, tincture, ointment.
Practical support. And others offer things too. Hadassah, Master Nassim.
Yeah, Hadassah gives him this mixture called talim, which is a strange name, apparently means dew, but in a plural form never found anywhere else. Mysterious.
And Master Nassim, the alchemist.
Gives him a dense black stone, Shurjar Fachim, charred plant. These feel like symbolic gifts, hinting at the deeper transformation ahead.
And eventually Leah accepts it. He offers to help Jacob weave.
Right, weaving his meditation. It shows him trying to integrate this inner journey with his outer life. Maybe find some balance before he leaves.
Okay, so wrapping up this first look at Lahy's Abulafia, we've really journeyed with young Abraham. From Tudela, his family, his early studies.
To those profound, life-changing encounters with Nathan, we see the mystical path starting to unfold.
And the novel does a great job, doesn't it, of weaving together that historical reality, 13th century life, with these emerging Kabbalistic ideas.
It really does. It makes it feel natural, not forced. You learn alongside Abraham.
Which brings us back to why we started this, why Abulafia works so well as an introduction.
Exactly. Leahy uses the story, Abraham's experiences, to gently introduce you to complex concepts. It's engaging, it draws you in, rather than hitting you with dense philosophy straight off.
It feels like a much more, well, human way to start exploring Kabbalah if you're curious.
Mm-hmm. Definitely less daunting.
So, a final thought maybe for you listening. As you hear about Abraham's early life, this mix of the everyday and the
The
extraordinary.
dusty streets and the column of the
Yeah.
Shekinah.
Yeah. What parts of that journey connect with your own search for, understanding or deeper meaning?
What might you find if you decided to take this particular literary deep dive into Leahy's Abulafia yourself? Something to think about.